Alright, so here I've taken the stock Grom Airbox apart, and this is the OEM filter the way it comes from Honda. And what you've got here, there's sort of a debris screen, backfire screen, I guess is what you might call it. And what we found is that it has a tendency to be very restrictive. So what we've done, we've taken another filter, and if you're just very careful and take a a sharp blade, what you can do is they've just got some pegs that they melted over top of the screen. You just sort of trim those off, cut them off, and it makes it very easy to take that restrictive screen off. Gives you a freer flow through your stock air cleaner. Now, another thing that we've done, if you look inside the Airbox here, there's sort of a little horn in here that effectively lengthens the intake track of the Grom. Well, we took a drill and pulled off these, sort of the same thing. You can trim them off, but it's a little difficult to get to them, which allowed us to pull off this little metal bracket that holds it on. You can pull off this horn, gives you a shorter inlet. Well, the shorter inlet is going to give you more peak performance. Now the Grom, one of the reasons that it's important to get some higher peak performance out of the Grom is because you spend a lot of your time at the higher RPMs on the Grom, especially when you're trying to get it moving. Now what we've done, we created a really cool little velocity stack that mounts in here, and then we'll just mount it with a zip tie or a hose clamp. Now we've got various versions of this, shorter, longer, different bell mouth openings. So just watch brocksperformance.com for the various types of these that we're going to be coming out with. This is a prototype that we're going to use here for this this particular test. So we're going to put this back together. And we're going to test this for this particular test with our exhaust. So just some little simple things to just try and boost the Grom's overall performance. You're going to see some guys that will remove the Airbox entirely and put on a pod style filter. The problem you have there, you do have your MAP sensor, your manifold absolute pressure that you have to deal with there. Also, a problem with a pod filter is that if it begins to rain, or if you get in a position where you're out, if you're trail riding, get in the woods, or get into someplace where you're into a lot of water, then you have to really worry about the Grom not functioning correctly. So for this particular setup, this is a really nice deal. You're going to get long engine life out of your Grom and pick up just some extra performance. So we're going to install this as part of the modifications that we're making right now, just to try and boost the power output of the Grom. So I'm going to stick this back together and we'll put it back on the bike. Alright, I've got one other helper that's helping me here. About 45 minutes into this, I've got the Airbox reinstalled. I've got our new alien head exhaust installed. Put Dyno Power Commander 5 in with I had already created a map for it, and that's really it. We're going to put the body work back on and fire it up and make some pulls to see what kind of power it makes compared to stock form. So once again, see you in a minute. Okay, here we are. That didn't take very long. We've got our new alien head exhaust on. Dyno Power Commander PC5 with a map, our Airbox mods, and I believe that's it. Very quick, very simple. We're going to make some quick horsepower runs here just to see where we are. As you can see, we've got the look down. I don't mean to brag, but Brock's Performance is known for a great sounding exhaust system. We will get this thing fired up, let you hear it, let you see it, and then we will go test it out. Yeah, missed the video. You would hit our buttons there, get the dyno going with the ventilation. Check it out. Okay, so what I want to point out here, peak power gains 8.91, which is, by the way, the most horsepower this thing has ever made stock today for whatever reason. We made our changes. The peak power went from 8.91 to 10.10. Doesn't seem like much of a gain, but what we're looking at here are proportions. Now, what I want to point out is at 59 miles an hour, this bike is running right around 7,500 RPM. So if we go over here and look at the peak power range, right where the bike is operating, stock, it was making 8.38 horsepower. Now it's making 10.01. Well, that's a 22% gain in horsepower, and the torque has gone from 5.88 to 7.03. So what I'm going to do now is take it out on the road and see what kind of real-world gains that we've seen as far as performance goes. Now, if you look over here, where you're typically operating the Grom, I mean, yeah, sure, you've got this action going over here, but you're never here on the Grom. I mean, my goodness, to get this thing rolling, you're at 4,500 RPM and you're up around 6,000 or so just to get the thing moving. Typically, you're revving this thing pretty high. You're going to shift it, and it's going to fall back into this area after the gear shifts back into the meatier part of the curve. So that's what we're trying to improve upon here, is to get more power, usable power, where you're going to actually operate this bike. So we've seen some very substantial gains, like I said, in the meatier part. This is a 22% power gain. So around in here, you're still looking at your 15 to 20% gains right where you're operating the bike. So I'm going to go out, test this theory on the road, and we'll let you know what happens. I have to admit that I am a power and speed nut, but sometimes you have to just sit back and appreciate things for what they are. And this Grom looks and sounds badass. So I'm going to be right back after I take it for a ride. Personal best on the Grom, 64 miles an hour. Heck yeah. And we look good doing it too, baby. This thing definitely rolls out. You can feel the power everywhere. It's crisper, it responds better. It gets up to the regular 35, 45 mile an hour speed limits quicker. Everything about this bike just got better. I'm not just saying it because we made the parts, although I am happy that we made the parts, but these are legitimate gains. The bike is better. Definitely happy with what we've done here. This is good stuff. Like this bike. Thank you, Competition Accessories, Dusty at Dyno Jet, the rest of the guys who helped out with this thing. It is no joke. We've got one more little deal we want to try with it, and be right back.